Hello and welcome back to Silk Pod, reviewing Age of Attraction episode 7 with more meetups with friends and family. But before we jump in, I do want to say, I understand doing meetups with friends. That could be very important and insightful about knowing about your partner, potential partner in this case for some people. But I feel like we're missing a lot of family meetups. Like, that's so important, with serious relationships. Like, I don't think we met Vanessa's family. Like, I would love to understand that dynamic. What about Andrew and Libby's family? We only got to meet like two of their friends. It's like, hello, Netflix? Bring on the parents for all of them. And I don't even think we met Leah's family. And I feel like that would be kind of interesting too. So, I don't know, just something I noticed is something that's been bothering me. Um, yeah, I feel like there was so much missing this episode, but we'll jump in. Since we're almost done with this series, we start with more meetups. With Vanessa and Logan meeting Haley. Yeah, I was hoping we were gonna meet Vanessa's mom or something, but Haley is one of Vanessa's friend who is around Logan's age. I I do have friends who are a bit older than me, not younger. That's kind of weird. But I wouldn't consider people much older than me as like really close friends. It's just kind of hard to um connect really with certain age groups. Um, I know there's exceptions and stuff, but I don't know. I just thought it was a little weird that Vanessa's, I guess, best friend is a lot younger than her. I don't know, just something I'm flagging. It makes me feel more like iffy about Vanessa. I don't know. Um, in this meetup, Logan starts his conversation by explaining the show's premise and he also comments on how he tries to keep up with Vanessa's strong independent energy. Um, I don't know how Vanessa really takes that. I don't think she really likes. Well, I think she identifies with those qualities. But I guess it's just this weird bickering thing the whole time, and like one can say they're just having their little banter, but knowing what we know so far about this couple, like I don't think it's just bickering. I think there's just intense feelings there. So I didn't really feel comfortable in that scene. Um, Logan does mention that it's just how they're just voicing how they feel and stuff, and honesty is important, but I also feel like this is veering on toxic. Logan then drops his age, um, but he says he doesn't feel the age gap, which is kind of funny because that's not what I sense from Logan. Like, yeah, he's willing to make out and have sex with someone who's older than him, but I think he feels the age gap. He definitely, because he mentioned like he doesn't want to be mothered. Well, that's not the word he chose, but like, I think he feels it. Yeah. And he later says in the interview that he's bothered by being reminded about the age gap by his mom, then with his friend and all this kind of stuff. But it's like, I think the person that's most bothered by is yourself. I don't know. Um, then just like with the other meetups for the previous episodes, um, Vanessa is left alone with her friend Haley, and they talk. And Haley immediately clocks about how weird the mini fights and sort of banter that is happening. She finds it very strange. And then Vanessa, of course, goes into her venting. And we already heard this over and over and over again about how she was feeling friend zoned at the initial move in. And basically we know this, but there's so many ups and downs with them, mostly downs. Vanessa isn't sure if it's an age or personality issue, and Haley says that it's probably a little bit of both. I think it's more of a personality issue than an age thing. Age, yes, but I think it's just Vanessa's personality that's a huge issue. like I don't know. I feel like for her age, she acts like a younger person in a really bad way. Yeah. And the thing that bothers me is that because Haley is seeing things through Vanessa's perspective, it looks like Haley's perception is that Logan is causing all of the problems in the relationship. And she correctly says that she's not sure if Logan is the right partner. Um, I think at this point, both Vanessa and Logan have issues that they're bringing to each other, and it's just not a bad look. Like, I'm more on Logan's side just because Vanessa's a hot mess, but Logan has his issues too. I think I'm starting to feel they're just not a good fit. Um, After this, we switch over to John and Teresa. This was after the scene from the last episode where John was talking to his sister and everything. So I knew this was going to happen. John lets Teresa know he did tell his sister, and probably his mom already knows now, about Teresa's age, that she has 3 kids and their ages. Um, I knew Teresa was going to be upset about it, and I understand her reasoning for not disclosing her age right away is because she wants to be seen as who she is as a person first before their judgment is made based on her age. But like again, people are gonna feel weird when you purposefully avoid the big question of how old are you, right? Yeah, I don't know. I feel weird about it. Teresa's kids feel well, I'll talk about that too. But like everyone feels weird about that. So I think it's just Teresa's insecurities and concerns and like anxieties, and it's like, girl, you have to tell people. Like, I'm sorry. That's how it is. And then Teresa gets emotional, of course, about how her kids might feel. And then John is starting to feel worried and all these negative feelings. And he doesn't want the things that he can't control to be the things that ultimately break the relationship apart. Um, I think what breaks the relationship is all of Teresa's internal turmoil, at the end of the day. Um, of course, John wants to confront all the backlash with the age judgments and stuff together. And his only starting to stress out because Teresa started to stress out. But my thing is, regardless of how ready John may or may not be, Teresa is not ready for the backlash. Like, she's conflict avoidant. That's the feeling I get when she talks about, like, I don't want to disclose age first before they don't even get to know me. So yeah, I thought this was the strongest couple, but now I'm like, Teresa's too much in her head, and for good reason. For good reason, but it's just not gonna work. Like, it's already to end at that point. Hmm. All right. Next, we meet up Derek and Pfeiffer, meeting Derek's cousin. I was hoping to see Derek's family, and no, because I don't want Derek to bring his kid and stuff. I think that if that were to happen, it's to be off camera. Derek's cousin is very young. Um, yeah, this was so weird for me because before the age reveal, the cousins seemed to be open to Pfeiffer and really like Pfeiffer's answers. I like Pfeiffer's answers too, if we remove the whole age thing. She says that she likes change and adventure. She has the flexibility to move in and Derek and understands that Derek has kids and he can't really move and have that flexibility. Pfeiffer wants a big family for herself and actually loves the fact that Derek has kids. He wants to grow the family, and she says all the right things. And the cousin's like, "Okay, cool, I'm down for Pfeiffer." And then the question comes, and Pfeiffer drops that she is 22 years old. Yeah, look, I love Pfeiffer, but like, 22 is young. 22 is young to be dating a dad. Um, After the cousin tries to kind of recover from that, she still asks some questions. When she asks Pfeiffer, "Have you dated or really know anyone with kids?" He says no. Pfeiffer does go into how she knows what it's like having step parents, and having a negative experience with that. So C only wants to play a positive role in Derek's kid's life and knows how important that is. But that's not the question, and that's not the concern. Um, yeah. So after that whole conversation, the cousin tells us that look, Pfeiffer seems very understanding, seems like a great person. But she has very valid concerns about how Pfeiffer would balance time when Derek used to prioritize time with kids over romantic stuff, which is true, right? Um, oh, this was still during the meetup. Pfeiffer says that she's not asking for a lot of time together. She's like maybe once a month. I'm not someone that demands a lot of time, but like really, in my 20s, when I liked people, I was like, "You're gonna spend all this time with me. I'm not letting you go." Like, that's. I kind of felt like that's. I don't think Pfeiffer's honest there. I don't think she realizes how much time it takes to like raise a kid. Not that I know, but I could only imagine. Um, yeah, she's not ready. She acts ready. She says the right things, but Pfeiffer's not ready. I'm telling you. The cousin brings up a really good point at the interview. I'm making sure I say this, that Pfeiffer can say and feel and think all the right things right now, but her age is so young that years down the line, all of those feelings and thoughts could flip on its head. And I agree. I agree. Like a lot of the feelings and thoughts that I felt so strongly about in my 20s, I don't think I would feel the same exact way currently in my 30s. And that's only 10 years. So yeah, I don't know. Pfeiffer could be so sure because I'm thinking about like when I was a teacher and had students and stuff, they would be like, I know this is the career I want. Like I'm gonna be a Fortnite famous YouTuber. Like I'm trying to think of some of my students I had, and I was just like, you might think that now, but who knows, right? Anyways, that was a off tangent. Um, yeah. Anywho, the point was Pfeiffer's not ready. She acts like she is. We know later on that she's definitely not ready and doesn't. I don't think she truly wants this. Um, yeah. Oh, when I went back to my notes, I realized that during the first watch through of this episode, I completely overlooked the scene after this because it was Chris and Leah. I'm not even gonna rewatch the episode. They were talking about something and they're like, thank you for being honest. And I didn't take any notes on it. I think it's because it was just like the same repeat and rehash of how Chris is feeling and all this cyclical stuff. So I'm like, all right, I'm not learning anything new. I don't really care. I completely forgot about that scene. And while I was trying to find like screenshots and stuff, I'm like, oh, this happened. So I have nothing for that. My bad. The next scene that I do have notes on is the park scene with Andrew and Libby. Um, this is when Andrew does a whole 360. So Andrew tells us that after talking to his friends really put things in perspective for him. I'm just like, dude, you know what you're doing. Like, what do you mean that your friends put your things in perspective? Like, you already know what the problems are. Oh, dude. So I'm just like eye roll moment there. Yeah, so he starts to tell Libby that he's been thinking about something that's I guess he told him before, which is apparently he told him that she wishes there was more time in between college and real life. And I'm like, that's a real thought. That's a real thought there. Like lean into that more, girl. Um Andrew goes on to say that when he was 22, he definitely wasn't ready for a serious relationship, and especially not with kids. And he wanted to make sure he wasn't taking away so much from Libby's life. And he also mentions that he seems all fun and stuff, but at home he's actually very boring. Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Um, yeah. Libby, of course, gets on the defensive, not in a bad way. Like she's not mad at him, but she tells Andrew that nothing is being taken away from her. She thinks that Andrew and the whole kids thing's actually adding to her life. I don't think she understands what she's talking about. And she's actually not this wild, crazy person that you might associate with young people for. Like she just wants, what did I write? She just wants stability with a normal person. Yeah, you say that, Libby, but I don't know. The vibe I get when she was talking to her friends and stuff, I'm like, no, 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 you're talking a typical young 20s girl just hanging with her friends. No, 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 no. No, you did not want to date a boring father with kids. No, no, stop, Libby. you're 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 not gonna love that life. Libby does tell us after this conversation that it's so hard to hear Andrew's hesitations. It feels that these are the things that will make life harder for the relationship. And my thing is, no, 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 that's not what's happening here, Libby. Andrew is doing you a favor by doing a reality check. And I'm really glad, even though it's a bit late, that at least before the final decision in this show, Andrew's bringing up these things. Um, yeah. Again, Libby is way too young to be dating a dad with kids. No, a dad with kids. I'm being repetitive. You know what I mean. I just hate this so much that the show is just going along for the ride with this. This feels so wrong. Um. All right. Next we have Logan and Vanessa. I could really care less about this couple. I'm just like, I don't know. I just feel Uh, I don't know. I don't know why, but I'm just like not very invested in them. I think it's because Vanessa just bugs me. What do they even do? They're at the apartment. I guess they're doing a conversation about how the meetup with her friend was. Um, Vanessa talks about how her friend was bringing up the concerns with the bickering and the fights and stuff. Logan asks her like, "Well, how do you feel about the relationship?" And I think you know, Logan. Vanessa talks about how she doesn't actually like the bickering and the fighting, and she feels like it's basically the battle of the egos, which I think is very true. Um, Even though she does admit that the fights at the meetup weren't that bad. Yeah, but knowing the things we do know about the overall couple, it's not a good look. At the end of the conversation, Vanessa says that she still wants to be accepted as she is and vice versa. I don't think that's gonna happen. And they agree to take things one thing at a time, but I think I think they're just burning down this relationship and just like is just damaging. It's damaging for both of them. And Logan does start kissing her, but I'm just like, Logan, stop. Just end it. It's so over. It's so over. Um okay. Okay, next, we see that at this point it is 2 days left till the commitment ceremony time, and we are finally meeting Teresa's kids. Finally, I don't know. I've been wanting to meet them on this show. Her kids are great. I love Teresa's kids. Um, they're a little grown, right? Obviously younger than me, but like they're young adults. So they ask the right questions. They really ask specific questions to John. And John, composed and everything respectfully answers their questions. John lets the kids know that he signed up for the show because honestly, it's hard to find genuine connections in Miami. I didn't know that. And he connected very fast with their mom. Both Teresa and John talk about how living together has been great, and it's only the tiny things that bother them, which is a good sign if we didn't consider their ages. Um, Teresa tells the kids that John was very cool with the reveal about her kids, and the kids say that at least there's less pressure because they're not like little kids anymore. So it's not like John used to like look after them and like change their diapers or run after them or anything like that. Which is very true. Um, I love how the kids talk about now that they're grown up and stuff that they want their mom to prioritize herself moving forward and to really take the time to take care of herself. And that's a good sign of a mother-child relationship. I I love that. That's like the most wholesome thing in this entire show. Um, but yeah, that thought will only lasted for a few seconds because I noticed the daughter is giving that little side eye when John kisses Teresa and says goodbye to everyone. I'm like, the kids are not buying John fully, and they shouldn't. They shouldn't. They should have their concerns and questions. So I'm glad Netflix showed that. After John leaves, of course, the kids ask about John's age, and it is very weird. I'm going to say this so many times that Teresa refuses to tell them. She says she can tell them, but she doesn't want to. That's just so weird, you know? And like, no matter how old you are, like, even for me, if my mom's like, I don't want to tell you this, I'm not going to push it. She's my mom, you know? So they're not going to push it. If my mom doesn't want to tell it, she's not going to tell me. It is what it is. Um, but Teresa does say she wants the kids to get to know John for, oh, forget that, the whole spiel, right? But she does reiterate that she wants the kids to be honest and comfortable with their feelings, which is great. But yeah, at the interview, the kids, of course, say that they feel that their mom withholding John's age is very weird, but they're guessing he's in his 30s, a little younger. But, that's a good guess. They don't think the mom is being realistic with the age gap, but says only time will tell. Yeah, yeah. That's the best answer I could have given as well. Good on them. Um, Wow, I wrote a lot. Jeez, this episode. When I watched it, I thought it was very, very short, but geez, a lot did happen. Um, I wrote so much about this because I was feeling some type of way when Pfeiffer was with Derek in this scene. And she says that she's been very over optimistic about the whole situation. And she goes on this whole spiel that in the past she has told herself that she's never going to change her life for a man. And I actually love that sentiment. Like, I really do. And I think that's a sentiment I hold even as I am in a healthy, happy relationship. Like, you should not change who you are or uproot your whole life for a man. You gotta choose yourself first, no matter what, even when you're in a relationship. So good for Pfeiffer. She needs to uphold that because clearly she's saying this because it's bringing up feelings for her in the moment. Um, Pfeiffer obviously gets very emotional, and she has a very legit fear of giving up everything for Derek, but also giving up the values she's been telling herself about, you know, about giving up things for a man. Um, but Pfeiffer also says, this is such a 20s thing. It's like reminding me of when I get upset when mom tells me to do certain things. And I'm like, I know what you do. You don't have to tell me. Like, I'm a grown woman. But just the age. But I love it. But Pfeiffer says that she doesn't like it when Derek does the whole everything will be okay, just take a deep breath. Like it triggers me too, because I'm like, Derek, are you talking to her like an equal partner, or are you talking to her like a dad? Because it starts to sound like a dad that's comforting their child. A little bit, a little bit. But I think that's also just Derek's personality, and I don't really like it because it almost diminishes um what Pfeiffer is feeling. Um, yeah. I'll just take a deep breath on that. Um, of course, Derek says he appreciates the honesty. He understands the sacrifices Pfeiffer is making for the relationship. And he's not going to say that all of the problems and concerns that he has will magically all go away or that he has a solution for all these things. But the next thing he says is that change is not always a bad thing. That is not convincing Pfeiffer, and that is not convincing me. You're right, change is not always a bad thing, but in this case, it certainly does feel that way. And I hate that Derek says that he doesn't want this stress. It triggers. Basically, that's what he's saying. He doesn't want to be stressed out because he's stressed out. Hello? She's stressed. Validate that. You don't want that stress. Okay, then don't be with her. And that he wants peace. Well, guy, when you're an older dude with kids and you start dating someone as young as Pfeiffer, you're not gonna have all that peace in your life, dude. Just saying. Um, that irked me, so I knew Pfeiffer's irked by that. She's it shows in her face to express it. I'm very much like Pfeiffer, with that. She's very annoyed. And Derek's like, "What?" Well, he didn't say it like that, but he was like, "What's wrong?" Um, yeah. Pfeiffer doesn't, she doesn't really clarify what's wrong, but look, it's so obvious, Derek. It's just invalidating. Pfeiffer does say at the end, sorry about the background noise. Pfeiffer does ask him, like, does he mean that the decision to move forward with them doesn't necessarily need to be made from a place of peace? Which is what Derek is saying, and on the surface, that's such a great sentiment, but it doesn't help. It doesn't help. I hate when people act mature because that's the vibe I'm getting from Derek. He acts mature. He says the right things, and it's great from an outsider looking in. But I don't know. Something's off with him, and I picked this up like just from looking at him. Like something about him is off. Look, understandably, people watching this show will have their things to say about Jorge, of course, disgusting man. People will say things about the guy that didn't couple up with the older woman, but he was saying weird things like, "Oh, the if I'm gonna date older, they gotta be prettier than my mom." Like, there's like really out there characters, but I think Derek's a guy that like people don't realize how weird they are until you really get into it. I have my eye on you. Something's wrong with him. Um, Anywho, sorry about that. We end the episode with all the couples sitting with the host, just to share how it's been going so far. And it's later revealed that this is their last night together, very ultimatum-ish, before the commitment ceremony. Instead of a real go around, I bet Netflix cut out so many things. We only really get to hear about Teresa's experience because everyone at the table is clearly surprised that she did not reveal the ages to the family. Yeah, I was surprised too. I would be surprised too. And Leah's giving all these facial expressions. Netflix took all their camera shots on her, and during this whole back and forth between Teresa and Leah, I could not take it seriously. I'm just like, this is so stupid. And I'm like, is this the most drama you can do, Netflix? Because it is the most dumbest fight between women in this show. And they're grown women too. Look, Leah has a point, but the way she went about it, I'm just like, okay, girl, stop. Leah talks about how the point of the experience is to reveal the ages instead of hiding and being ashamed of your age. I mean, I'm just summarizing, right? This is like on and on and on, but that's basically what Leah is saying. Teresa gets defensive, gets really upset. She's clarified she's not ashamed of the ages. She's just being strategic with it. And then Leah says that the kids are gonna know one way or another. And then at the end, John is just like, let's just be respectful. Yeah, that's one way to end a girl fight, I guess. Um, Again, what Leah is saying is true. I agree with it. Um, but the facial expressions. At the end of the day, there is truth to Teresa being like, it's really none of your business. It's her choice. You don't have to respect it. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it. But like, shut up. Well, I don't know how I feel. I feel like Teresa is also like way too sensitive and defensive and emotional and insecure and all these things too. So it's really on Teresa's side that I have to be on Leah's side a little bit more if I had to choose sides. But I just feel like this is the most stupid thing to be bickering about. Like, okay, okay, where's the love triangles? I mean, I don't want that. It's already gross on its own, but I'm just saying, it's like this is the drama you're giving me, and that's how you end it. And then with Teresa's crying and getting overwhelmed, like, oh no, I don't want to deal with this whole situation that I put myself in when I agreed to continue dating this young man who's younger than my oldest child. You chose this, Teresa. Stop crying. Like, oh. She's starting to annoy me. I'm trying to feel for her because I understand how she's feeling, but it's also like you signed up for this. You could have ended this so much earlier if it's bothering you so much. And if it's really. I'm sorry to go into a tangent about this because I'm thinking about the moment where like my relationship with my mom, it's a good relationship, but what I learned is that when you're so close to someone, it's also like when you have your fights, it's gonna be really intense because it is out of love. um and like sometimes it's important to get really emotional and deep with the people you really care about. So I think what Teresa needs to do is like get emotional with your kids. They're grown, they can handle it. They should have see their mom getting teary-eyed, emotional, very real and raw with them. Be like, hey, John is this age. I really love this man and I really care about your feelings and stuff, and I really want you to give us like I think that would be beautiful. But that's just me. Not that I think it's gonna work. Not that I think the relationship is gonna work. But I'm just saying that's one way to go about it. That's how I would go about it if I was in that situation. Was yeah, of course not. Anyways, I ramble up way too much. I think I'm having all these pent up feelings as this season is ending. Please don't do season 2, 3, or 4. Like this show is a wrap. Um, I guess next episode is the last episode on Netflix. With the commitment ceremony. And we'll see everyone's decision. To be clear, I don't support any of these couples. I don't support extreme age gaps. I don't support super young people dating people older and with kids. Um, I think it's venturing into grooming. I think it's venturing into um predatory behavior. Like I truly, especially with Jorge, but that's over. But I might as well finish this series. I will see you then. Hopefully all these couples break up. Peace.